Hello, 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 hello.
Hi, hi.
All over the place. Hi, hi.
Hi,
What are you
hi.
feeling? Welcome,
Hi, hi.
guys. Welcome to A Dose of Reality. And I am your host, Steva Daniels.
And I'm Sarah Jones.
And we are here to talk about where is the village.
Mm.
Okay, but you know what? Before we even get into the whole words of village portion or even our show in general, I just want to go ahead and give our and extend our deepest and most sincerest condolences. I have a neighbor, a business neighbor. I have a beauty salon and a beauty school. Right next door to my school, is a boutique called the Divas Den. The owner of the Divas Den, Felicia Connor, was gunned down senselessly the other day. And I love her. She supported us. I mean, like from day one, the moment we walked in and put our didn't walk in, but the moment we actually set our business up and got everything started, she was the very first person to come and greet me. She actually introduced me to every other business owner in the neighborhood. She showed nothing but constant support and love. Then she went as far as to even come to the beauty salon a few times and get a hairstyle by one of my stylists, and even hired me on the sideline to do other business for her. Felicia, you are gone, but you are not forgotten.
Amen.
We love you dearly. St. Louis loves you dearly. St. Louis know that you was a sweet person, and we support you wholeheartedly, and we love your entire mission and what you stood for. We know that you love to service the public. We know that you love to service people, and for that, my deepest and most sincerest condolences to your family. I just couldn't believe that we was putting RIP behind your name. I had just seen you. I was just speaking to you. I was just talking to you. And for you to no longer be here because of a senseless violence act,
Horrible.
I'm just shooken up. And everybody from the Vive La Chure family, Vive La Chure, old salon, I'm sorry. Everybody from the Hair Relics family, we love you, and we're gonna miss you tremendously. So that being said, we're gonna go ahead with our show. You guys, tap the screens wherever you are, show some love wherever you're from. If you guys knew Felicia, just go ahead and tap the screen, give some love, just say rest in peace, sleep in peace, whichever one you guys feel more comfortable saying. Just go ahead and give some love to Felicia Connors. Amen. So moving forward, I'm gonna act like I'm not doing this on camera.
I don't believe it.
Believe it, sister. Believe it, sister. It's going down.
Believe it.
It's going down.
She putting a nail on, y'all.
I'm putting a press on there. It's a Lee press on nail. Y'all remember Lee press on nails? You remember Lee press on?
I remember.
Lee press on was Lee press on nail was the only nail company that they had back in the day, and we didn't revolutionize Lee press on nail. My little nail slipped off when I was saying my condolences to my friend, and I had to put it back on because I didn't want to raise my hand and y'all said something, and my partner over here gonna bust me out, so I might as well throw up the W. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. So today's topic is called "Where is the Village?" And what do we mean by that? A family unit used to be a bond that was unbreakable. And that being said, there was nothing you could say to stop my sister from disciplining my children. There was nothing you could say from stopping me from dropping my children off in my grandmother's house, and my aunties, my uncles, and all of my cousins were able to discipline. No, we ain't gonna accept. We're not gonna accept nobody right now. Let us get into the conversation first, and then we're gonna go. Yes, she was an absolute angel. Absolute angel. We love her. But what we were saying was a village. There was nothing you could do to stop me from dropping my babies off in my grandmother's house. There was nothing you could do from stopping my cousin from disciplining my children. So what happened? What was the breakdown that stopped family members from coming on board and saying no to the next person's family? I have my own thoughts, but I want to hear you guys' thoughts. So if you guys can also, when we're talking, join in, talk about it with us, because we want to know, first and foremost, where you guys from. We see Mississippi in the building.
Okay.
All right, Mississippi. But we want to know what your thoughts are. What do you think stop the dynamics in the family from family members and loved ones being able to say anything to you or your children? Washington, D.C.
Okay. Washington. So where is the village? Where is the village? That's the question that Phoebe just asked. Where is the village to where, like she said, we had no problem with our neighbors telling our children something? Where's the village where, we had no problems with the grandmother stepping in and the grandfathers and the aunts and the uncles and even the teachers at the school, the counselors at the school? Because we all know that it takes a village to raise a child. We know that the mom can do her best ability that she can do, and even the father can do the best ability that he can do. But it also takes a joint to make a child go in the direction that you need for him or her to go into.
Absolutely. I do know, for one, I got thoughts. Okay. So let's go ahead and we wrote a list to go down, and we're going to get to each point as we go. The first point that I wrote down was parents. I believe that a 2-parent household really makes a stronger child. Absolutely. Mentally, emotionally, psychologically, financially. I believe a broken 2-parent household makes, I can tell you certain things because I come from a 1-parent household up until I reached a certain age point. When I reached a certain age point, then there were 2 people in the household. But I've also met people that had both mother and father. Right. And then I met people who had broken mothers and fathers. But one thing for sure that I learned by way of just growing up is most of the time when you're married, your children are married. Every married couple that I knew that was when I was growing up, when they children got older or of age, they children went off and got married. Yeah. Every single, from my family in particular, every single person in my family who is married, like my aunts and uncles, every last one of their children are married. Every last one of my cousins who never had a dad in their life or an absent parent, none of them are married. Like literally none. And so, well, I got one cousin, he got married, but he got divorced, right? Not right away, but soon after. So I do know that marriage, whether it's a good marriage or a bad marriage, it shows your children that this particular foundation is what you need to stand on. Now, whether you make it good or bad, that's on you. But we're going to show you. We're going to show you how you should go ahead and start the build of a family. Right. And it takes 2. But as far as a husband and a wife, one of them being absent, or a male and a female, one of them being absent, let's talk about that. Let's talk about having an absent parent. I had an absent parent, and my absent parent was a father. I had a very proactive and active mother, but I didn't have a father.
So was he absent as totally absent, where you didn't have a relationship with him?
No,
and
he
just wasn't in the household?
He wasn't in the household. Okay. And so several things happened because he wasn't in the household. One of the most horrific things that happened was rape and molestation. From the ages of 4 to 9 years old, I was raped and I was molested by my mom's boyfriend. Now, let me tell you, don't come for my mom because she didn't know anything. And I had to say that. I had to put my little gangster face on real quick because I do know oftentimes when a child has been touched, the first person people like to come for is the parent. Well, on certain ends, yes. But on some ends, you got to be careful on who you bring around your children. Right. And falling in love, because you don't know the person that you fell in love with could possibly be a pedophile. That could be a freak of some sort. Right. Right. And so just remembering back to my childhood, the guy that my mom fell in love with, he was a very cool cat. Like, I remember everybody liking him. I remember him being the likable guy, one of the lives of the party. And I even remember me and my sister liking him greatly. but he had a little dirty secret,
Right.
and he liked to touch little girls.
Mm.
Unfortunately, he liked to touch his own children too. So I was one child that he affected greatly, but so was his own daughter.
Mm-hmm.
He touched his own daughter. And me and her shared that common bond, and the only reason I knew about it is because me and her talked about it.
Right.
When we were kids, we were actually confidants to one another.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who said it first. I don't know if it was me or if it was her, but I remember us every time we get around each other, we would hug each other so deep, and we would be two peas in a pod because we had this secret that no one knew about, but we couldn't tell the secret.
Right.
We wasn't safe enough to tell the secret to our parents. But then on my dad's side, he was absent physically.
Okay.
But in our actuality, I talk to my dad every other day. He had Southwestern Bell card. You remember those cards?
Yeah.
They used to call in, put all 19 of those numbers in, and they used to dial you on the little calling card. They used to call it calling card. So my dad used to talk to us on the calling card. So I always talk to my daddy. Now, did I see him? No, I didn't see him, but I definitely talked to him all the time. I have friends, on the other hand, who had mothers in the household that they never talked to, ever, and a father who was never there. So they were just abandoned children,
right,
altogether.
Right. Wow. I come from a single parent household as well, but my dad was a part of the village. Even though he wasn't in the household, he still was able to let me know about life, let me know about how to be successful, let me know the guys today, let me know the guys to stay away from, let me know about love. So even though he wasn't in the household, he still was a part of the village, of making sure he raised me the best way he could raise me and give me the knowledge and wisdom about this life that I was going to be able to live on my own. So I am thankful and grateful for that, because sometimes people, the tendency is that we're together and our plans is to be together, but sometimes it just don't work out in that way, that you have parents that stays together, but yet the mother and the father still know together we have to be a village to raise this child up.
Absolutely. So what we did, you guys, we took the liberty of looking up deadbeat, because we wanted to understand a little bit more. See, it's one thing to have a word tossed around and not have a full understanding, but it's a whole other monster when you actually know about what you're talking about. So I like to look up different definitions of things and compare them with other things, so I can see if what I'm thinking and what I've been told is really what it is. So let's read the word deadbeat and see what we come up with. See if you guys know a few deadbeats.
So it says that deadbeat is a loafer, a waster, a layabout, good for nothing, a parasite, a bum, a sponger, a sponge, and a freeloader. That's a lot of definitions.
That's a lot. It's another definition. Read that last one that they threw up in there so they can make our say it like
that. So the last definition was what? A freeloader?
The one that you said, the other definition of it.
Okay, so the other definition of a deadbeat is it says one who persistently fails to pay personal debts or expenses.
Yeah, and that really isn't even a definition. That was just a phrase that they wanted to use, because deadbeat is something that mothers threw around. That's a word we toss around pretty frequently, especially when it comes down to the absentee fathers in the children's lives. And I was just expressing to Tara that I know more deadbeat women mothers than I do deadbeat fathers. I do know more women that take responsibility for their children. As far as the definition is concerned, that's what I mean.
So when you see a deadbeat mom, what do you see?
So it's multiple things. It's multiple things. But one of the things I wanted to say, as far as like the deadbeat is concerned, the actual definition, the actual definition just was characteristics of a person. I know a lot of freeloading women. I know a lot of bum women. I know a lot of bum begging and borrowing women. I know a lot of women that is good for nothing. I know a lot of loafer women. I know a lot of women that don't want to get it together, ain't gonna get it together, don't want nothing for their babies. They want it all for themselves. I know more women like that than I know men. However, I know more women that assumes the total responsibility role for their children than I do men. I don't know a lot of men who takes full responsibility for their children, picks them up. Oh, listen, I don't want my baby mama anymore. I'm playing the male role. I don't want my baby mama anymore. I don't want her anything to do with her, but I love my kid. So I'm going to pick my kid up every day after school. I'm going to take my kid to my house and make sure they get their homework done. I'm going to involve myself in teaching them. I'm going to feed my kid. I'm going to drop my kid off. And I'm going to repeat the process again tomorrow. I'm going to drop my kid back off at home with the mama. The mama going to get the baby to school. I'm going to pick the kid up from school. I don't know hardly any men that do that. Any. And when I was with my ex, one of the number one things I used to always say is, go get my boy. Now, he's not my biological son, but he my boy. Right. Okay, he my son. And so one of the things I used to tell him all the time was, you know how much of a difference it would make in a boy or a girl's life is if both parents was not together, but still found a way to be involved in their lives.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Huge. And when his baby mama decided that she wanted to file child support, I was for it. He was like, first, initially he said, that's crazy because I take care of my son. And I say, indeed you do. However, that's on the surface. You take care of what she asks you to take care of. But do you really know parents who do not raise your children, who your children do not stay with you, who your children, you're able to get up and go and move throughout the day however you want. Even if you consider your child doesn't stay with you. Let me tell you, the parent that the child stays with, have to get up in the morning with them, in the middle of the night with them, with their attitudes. If they're a teenager, they have to deal with all their quirks and push and fights and little moments. They have to deal with their temperaments, their attitudes, they nonchalantness, they modes of not wanting to talk to you anymore. They want to be sheltered and not sheltered, but what do you call that word? They want to go on the inside and just be non-existent in your world, basically. They have to feed them every single time they're hungry. They have to get them things like soap, toilet paper, washing powder, bleach.
That's true.
Everything, whatever your son and or daughter is in need of, the person that they stay with is the one covering it all. Right. So when you tell me you're going to give me some money, some child support, and you think that's really going to help, I'm going to tell you what child support does. Child support financially supports that child a little bit. If I am going to be honest with you, being a mother of 2, 3 by inherited a son, but being a single mother of 2 girls, I didn't get child support from my oldest daughter now whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they gave me one check for $325 for my daughter, my oldest daughter. She's 21 now. That's the only amount of money I ever received from her dad, period. My baby girl, her dad paid $375 a month child support. I haven't received a child support check in almost 4 months because he injured himself on the job, not because he just decided not to pay. But I honestly believe that in somewhere inside of the minds of the men and women who pay child support, I believe you guys think that actually helps. You may be able to pay a portion of my electric bill and you say that money need to go to the kid. Well, if the lights ain't on, how am I going to take care of my child? You say you're really doing something because you're giving me a couple of dollars to take care of this child, but this child still have needs outside of clothes. Absolutely. And outside of shoes. Absolutely. That need to be taken care of. Right. How do we take care and support a child with $325 a month? How? Right. How is it possible? My daughter go to private school and it's more than that. It took me hell to try to get her back in the private school sector after the pandemic. You know, and now that she's back in the private school sector, the child support isn't coming in, so I still have to do that. But guess what else I still have to do? I still have to provide a book bag, pads because she's 15 years old. I supply socks, Socks. They lose socks as soon as they put the socks on. When the socks go into the laundry basket, it does not make it back out. I don't know what little man is hiding inside that washing machine that's taking them socks.
Because I'm grown and I can't find a few of mine.
Baby, if I walk around with another green and blue sock on, I'm gonna lose my mind. Socks, okay? Socks. Underwear, bras. Little girls' bras cost money.
Yes, it does.
Daddies, if you didn't know, little girls' bras cost money. Shoes. Little girls are not like they used to be. They don't want to wear cute shoes. They want J's and foams too. Oh, yeah. Okay, they don't want to walk around in no $35 Reebok Classics.
Right.
That was like 1998. This is 2022. Right. They want the $225 Jordans too. Okay, let's be clear. Fathers, mothers, whoever isn't present. You got these little girls that want their lashes done. They want their eyebrows just as fleeked out as mine, and they want their hair together. Do you think a hairstyle? And they want their nails done, and they ain't wearing no Lee press-on nails, okay? They want to look good too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They want to look good too. So when I say that your little money really isn't helping, it may help on something, but it's not really a lot.
Right.
Even if you're giving $1,000 a month, okay, so rent is $11.90.
Yeah,
I cover the rent. Okay, let's say hypothetically speaking, I cover everything, and all you doing is taking care of your kid with the money that you send each month.
Right.
What's the good enough money to send that provides and take care of a child each month? And what age do the money supposed to increase? What age does your child support? And this is to mothers too, because there's a lot of mothers out here who don't do nothing for their kids. They outside, they wild, they hot, and they in the streets.
What you said. Come on now.
What amount of money does it take for your child to be taken care of each month? Now you have your 1-year-old. Then you have your 1 to 3. Then you have your 3 to 5. I mean, what would you say? 3 to 6-year-olds. Then you have your 7 and 9-year-olds. Your 11 to 13-year-olds. And once they 13, let me tell you something. It's over.
And this is not to be judgeful. This is not to judge anybody, but we are living in the world where our children need our help. You know, they need your help. I'm putting my Cash App up there. I ain't got no child support in a while. I'm gonna need y'all to help me out. Listen, hashtag her relics, hashtag Fever Daniels, money sign Fever Daniels. Let me see what y'all can do. Help a sister out. I'm gonna cry. You have young people killing young people. And like you said, that right now we're just touching the basis of where are the parents. We haven't got down to the end of the list yet. Yeah. But right now we're just talking about where is because the first off, the foundation of getting the village started is the parents first. Because the parents done got together, they done made this baby, and now this baby is growing up who needs a mother and a father. So this mother and father, whether you guys plan on being together or not, you need to come together in agreements into what do we see best, or what do we see fit to raise our children or to raise our child if you have one. If you have a parent that's not in agreement with that, then that's when we got to take it to a next level and go to court. Now, that doesn't mean that whatever, and people think, I don't know why, but dads, some dads, I'm not saying all of them, but some dads have this concept that, well, I pay child support. What more do you want? Okay, well, first off, child support, they're not giving us that much. It's not like they giving us your whole check. But my thing is this, just because you pay child support and the child support is taking care of the basic needs, and this kid still got 99 problems, this kid still got 99 problems, it's okay for you to say, you know what, even though I'm paying child support for my daughter or my son, is it anything else that child needs? Listen. Can I just drop you off something extra? Matter of fact, can I just talk to my child and see, daughter, what is it that you need? Yes. Not only do you need my money, but give me your time. There you go. Because not only is money important, but a village, it also takes time. We got to talk to our kids. It's not all about spending. Village is not all about spending money. Village is quality time. Talking to these kids, seeing where their head is at, seeing what's their goals. What's their, what's their plans in life? So being a village is being a parent that sets the village up is a lot of responsibility.
It is.
It's a lot of responsibility. But when are we just going to say, you know what, I'm ready to take on that role? We don't have a problem. We're opening our legs, making these kids. We don't have a problem. Although when that time comes, nobody is saying, okay, I'm having sex today. Today's going to be the day I get pregnant. Nobody got that. Nobody is saying that. I know that. It just happens. But my thing is, we have to
be accountable.
We have to be accountable for what comes along next. We got to be ready to know, what am I going to do? How am I going to play this role? How am I going to be able to be that mom for this child, or be that father for this child? And then how can I connect with the father? How can I connect? How can I communicate? And if he don't want to communicate and connect to help me raise this child, what's my plan next? That's what I have to say about that. I'm gonna drink some water on that because I feel like that was a mouthful.
Kirk McPike says, "Rest in peace, baby girl Renee." Keontae Belton says, "Rest in peace, Queen." So yeah, I mean, I got a lot to say because I'm single. Hey, I'm single again, ain't it?
Yeah.
It be hitting. Look, y'all, it be hitting y'all.
It hits me to, like, when you say that, because I'm so used to you wearing your wedding ring, and I'm so used to you talking about Kelly.
Yeah, it's so strange.
And it is new to say, "Ooh, people, you single now."
Ain't I fine though?
You fine.
I don't like being single, y'all, but I don't. I want my husband back, but I don't. But I do, but I don't. Mm-hmm. But listen, beyond and besides that, parents, both parents, even, and I'm just gonna say this, be the devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. You ain't gotta like me. You can love me, whatever. Fathers and mothers, slow down. The babies are here. So what, you didn't do what you were supposed to do when they was 5. Mm-hmm. So what, they're 15 now and they not listening and they hard-headed and they don't want to do what you say do. They're still yours. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, when you let them go, they're gone. Mm-hmm. And ain't really much you can do beyond that. So I just tell mothers and fathers alike, slow down. Mm-hmm. Give yourself some grace. Take a moment. Go to the restroom, breathe, woosah, 10, 9, 8, 7, numb hodoranga, whatever you got to do to catch your peace. And then the moment you get you a little moment of peace where you can breathe and it's not killing you to breathe, then I need you to say a prayer for your child. Because your children are going through things that is unspeakable, things that they will never tell you about. That's why they hide in their room 24/7. That's why they're depressed. That's why they're on them phones all day long. They're going through some things, and they may not feel comfortable talking to you. You may have never made them feel comfortable enough to tell you certain things. Mm-hmm. Just slow down, breathe, and pray for your children. Beyond and besides that, take some time out and spend time with your children. Fathers, I don't care. Listen, mamas, if your baby daddy ain't been around all year long and you ain't seen his face, ain't heard his voice, ain't got a nickel from him, if he call and say, "What's up with my baby?" say, "Hold on," and put the kid on the phone. Right. Say, "Hold on," and put the kid on the phone. Mm-hmm. Let that man talk to his child. Right. Let that man be involved in his child's life. My daughter's dad was on drugs. I pray he's still not, but if he is, I'm still praying for you, okay? My oldest daughter's dad. And I knew that from when she was a little girl. He wasn't when we first hooked up, but after a couple years, he got on heroin. And I used to say, my baby gonna be the only kid hanging out on the block with a heroin head, because I ain't stopping my baby. As long as he presents himself as somebody that can take care of a kid, just because he on dope, don't mean I'm supposed to take him from him. He making mistakes in his life. Mm-hmm. I know a bunch of dope fiends and some dope people. Okay, I know a bunch of people that do drugs, because I know people got their own thought process. I would never. Well, that's on you. But I know a whole lot of people. I had aunties and uncles who was instrumental in my life in raising me, protecting me, providing for me, and making sure I had what I needed. Now, they did not take care of me monetarily with money. Right. But they took care of me in some way. We all from the 80s. We from the crack phase. Okay, you can't tell me that your neighbors didn't feed you some of the best nasty foods you ever had in your life. I'm just saying, like, just because a person has a habit is
or an addiction,
or an addiction doesn't mean that person is exempt from loving or being loved on or loving. And I just say this from my heart, because my when I was coming up, I had aunts and uncles who was on drugs, and I didn't find that out till later on in life. Hell, when we were growing up, they was just my auntie, my TT, or my aunt, and I really had no idea what they was doing in their personal lives. But it didn't matter because they didn't put me in danger or harm's way.
Right.
Now, if you were seeing your baby daddy, your baby mama putting your kid in harm's way or themselves, that's when you take a pause for the cause. That's when you do something about it. But when it comes down to them just having an addiction, and for a fact you can find them on the block every single Friday, get out, go hang out with your daddy. I'll be back in a couple hours.
Right.
I bought them some McDonald's. I got them some ramen noodles and hot dogs and pork and beans.
Right.
They got what they need. Now you good. They got all their clothes.
Right.
I know not to send good stuff because it might be sold, but they got what they need.
Right.
And because of that, my children know what they daddy's breath smell like. They know how they look. They know they quirks. They know they kinks. They know what pisses them off. They know what makes them smile. Why? Because I took the initiative. I didn't care about them taking the initiative. Right. We make too many excuses. What he won't do, what she won't do. So what will you do? Okay, so it's my little spiel.
Can a married person be absent from their child's life?
Ooh.
Can a married person be absent from their children's life? And I'm going to speak on this because I am married. I've been married for 14 years. And the answer is yes. You can be absent. You can be so involved with your spouse to where you miss the time with your children. You miss the activities they are in. You miss to ask how their day is going. You miss to sometimes even cook them a meal. You can be a married person. Now, it's not me. I'm just speaking. It ain't me. But I'm just speaking being married. You can be, me personally, being married, I have to set aside to be with my children.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are days where I have to, and I have a daughter and a son. So by me having different genders, I have to set aside, and they 4 or 5 years apart. I have to set a long time to have that mother attention with my son, and also that mother attention with my daughter, and also that mother attention together, and also us as parents coming together with quality time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because not only, they're from a 2-parent household. So
your parents,
right? My kids, my kids have me and their dad in the household. So being married, we have to make sure that we set aside time to be with our children and to talk to them and see how their day is going, and making sure that they got the attention and the things that they need physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So but what I'm saying is a married couple can be so into each other where they forget the kids.
They neglect them.
They forget them.
Yeah.
Because they're so, and don't. And let's talk about those married couples that's struggling trying to stay together.
Yeah.
I'm so focused on trying to keep my man, or I'm so focused trying to keep my woman. Right now, my attention on is just trying to make this marriage work.
And
I don't forgot all about the kids because I'm so focused trying to make this marriage work. Have that ever happened to you where you felt like, when you and Kelly were seeing odds with each other, and you felt like, my focus is on just keeping this marriage, bringing it back to how it used to be, to where, and not even on purpose. Sometimes you get your attention off of your children. But that's not even being intent though. You're not doing it intentionally.
Being an entrepreneur, a serious entrepreneur, thriving. I've done that. And it had nothing to do with marriage.
Right. Business.
Just business.
Yeah.
And my priority, and so I've been learning a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my priorities here
Yeah.
lately, and
Yeah.
it stings when I learned about my own personal priorities and how I could affect, how I could have been a part of the breakdown of my own marriage because of some of the things that I personally added that I really didn't recognize here in the beginning. I did so much, spent so much time talking about my counterpart that I really neglected to see my own self, my own what I was doing wrong and all of that. I thought I knew, but daily it seems like something new is coming up, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing it. But as far as the girls are concerned, no.
Right.
For me.
Right.
Because I became, when I got a mate coming from a background of rape and molestation, even though I married this man and trusted him not to touch my children.
Absolutely.
I didn't at the same time. And I can't explain it. You would have to be in the situation like I was in to actually understand what I'm saying.
Right.
But I did, and I think I feel that way about everybody, men and women alike, when it comes down to my girls.
Yeah.
But I did notice him. He would always say, this is my time with my wife, and I would be like,
no, the girl should.
But hold on,
yeah.
We got all day with each other. We live a life with each other. We have a long life with one another. These kids are only going to be in our situation for a small amount of time. We have to spend the rest of our lives with each other. See, your kids gonna grow up and gonna find their own mate.
Yeah.
Which is kind of similar to the whole who gonna eat first. Who gonna eat first? You're gonna feed the man first and feed the kids first. Well, in all actuality, whatever you do in your household, your children is going to leave your household and go mimic it to the rest of the world. So if you as a wife deem your mate is important and that your children are also equally as important, but you know that your mate is the provider, then you're going to take care of certain things for your mate ahead of time, not because he's that special, but because I want my kids to see this.
Yeah,
I want my children to know what a family dynamic is. I want my children to know that when they get grown, they get out here on their own, and they out here supplying and supporting and providing for their mate. I want them to know that this is how dynamic of a family goes.
Absolutely.
So the reason why I chose to do the whole feeding of the husband first was because I wanted my girls to see that when a man is taking care of your heart and taking care of you and taking care of the responsibilities that he set himself up to take care of and take care of the children and just do what the men in his era promised to do upon marrying, that these are the some small little things that you can do. Now, that's not the only thing. That's a really small argument that they have.
Yeah.
They made it huge. It's really a small argument.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things that I do. But on the other hand, he felt like he needed all of my attention, 100%, all of my time. And I felt like, why do you need all of my time when now the girls are around?
Right.
Me and you been in this house by ourselves like for 6 hours. We ain't even sit in the room with each other. But now that the kids are here, now you only want to be around me.
And like you said, we have forever together. When we took those vows, it was they'll do us part. We have forever together.
Yeah.
But with these children, once they leave the household, we're not going to see them 7 days a week.
No.
So
we'd be lucky if we heard from them 7 days a week.
That's the thing. So let's talk about the grandparents. Is it important that the grandparents be a part of the village? How important it is for the grandparents to be a part of the village? Where are the grandparents at? Do we have the grandparents?
Grannies, Popo, where y'all at?
Do we have? Because when we was coming up, we had that.
Absolutely.
We had the grandmothers, and matter of fact, we had great grandmoms.
We did.
We had grandpas and grandmothers and great grandma, and they were there. They were there. They cooked us meals. They bathed us. They talked to us. They gave us more knowledge than our parents did sometimes. So where are the grandparents? Do you feel like the grandparents is important in these days?
I feel like
to help the village.
My grandparents are absolutely important. You guys are so necessary.
Yes.
And I understand that something happened maybe in your day and you was a hot girl and you left us our age group with our grandparents all day long, you know. But boundaries are extremely important, you know. So I admonish everybody who's a grandmother or father, because I'm a grandparent, to set healthy boundaries.
I'm not.
You
I don't
know,
want to be a grandparent right
right now. But when it happens, it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
You know, but setting healthy boundaries is necessary. However, do you know that I am still not mature enough to handle certain things that go on in a child's life? So as a mother, I'm going to come from the juggler because I think I know what's right. But to have a mother who is seasoned, or a grandmother who is seasoned, or a grandfather or a father who is seasoned, have been through many years more so than myself, have gone through some things that I have yet to experience and maybe never go through, have been able to be a part of many people's lives and help change or direct the path of many people before me. And I'm still even looking for guidance, and I'm 40 years old. I still need help because I'm going to make a decision over this kid's life that is final, and I think I'm doing right. But when I have a mother who's been there, done that, who's seen the outcome when you don't respond a certain way or do, that can stop and say, "Hey, baby, send him over my house.
Yes.
Let me get him a little bit.
Together.
Let me talk to him a little bit." Grandmothers and grandfathers are extremely important because your children still need you.
Yeah.
Your children are still haven't made it to that mature stage, even though we're parents. Even though we're doing good by our children, so we think, even though we're doing, you know, private school and name brand clothes and a good education, music classes, and hanging out with the right people, that kid can still go down the right path. Therefore, we still need grandparents.
Yeah.
Now, that don't mean we're supposed to misuse you, but we're supposed to be able to use you.
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time, and I think I just told my girlfriend Tate this the other day, maybe yesterday, I'm going to use you. Please do not think that if you're going to be my friend, listen, people, you should know this about Fever. If you ever say you my friend and I ever consider you as my friend, prepare to be used, okay? Don't think I'm finna have you in my life and I don't use you. I'm finna use you. I'm gonna use you up, as a matter of fact. But what you will not get from me is misuse. Right. I will not misuse you. Right. I will not abuse you. I will not mishandle your heart, but I'm definitely going to use you, and I'm here for the using. Absolutely. So that being said, I need the grandparent fight. Okay, so I had a situation. My mother, we had this conversation about, I guess it was a Facebook post that went around, and the grandmother was like, "I ain't taking care of nobody dang on kids, and I done raised all my own children. I did that, so you get your kid and don't drop these kids off of my doorstep and all this and all that." And so my mom, she was like in agreement. So I'm all like, "That's crazy," you know. I'm daughter, and I'm the youngest too, so I'm a little brat. Okay, so I'm like, that's crazy. You know, I grew up with both my grandmothers and grandfathers, both of my grandfathers, so I know what it's like to have 4 grandparents, and I had great grandparents. But I really grew up around both of my great grandmothers and my grandmothers and grandfathers. Right. I know what it's like to get my butt whooped by them. I know what it's like to get my butt. My Granny Ray used to whoop us with a cigarette in her mouth and a spatula in her hand and a tree cooking and a tree branch off the dang on tree outside. She'd say, "You go," and we had to go pick your own branch off. Go pick a switch. It was called a switch. Go get that switch off that tree, and don't take the leaves off either. See, listen. When they say
and take the leaves, if it wasn't the right switch, she gonna make you go get another. No, this ain't the right
that
one.
One switch they gave. You know, it got the leaves on there. Did y'all know the leaves cut you before the tree even reach you? Baby, take the leaves off, Granny. Don't leave the leaves on.
Leaves cut you before the branch can reach.
The leaf gonna cut you, and then when the branch finally get to you, it's gonna be a little slicing in the action. Girl. But in all actuality, I learned the facts of life from my grandparents.
Absolutely.
My grandparents got me into things. You know, they taught me. I learned how to cuss.
Yeah.
With the best of them. I learned how to make some hot water cornbread. Listen, I grew up in a household where we actually had a garden in the backyard. We had fruits and vegetables in the backyard. And you couldn't even run straight through the backyard and act the fool. You had to go down the center and come back up. Or go on over to the left, because everything over to the right was a garden. You know, so this was my mistake. Let me tell y'all about my mistake. My mistake was judging my mother, thinking that she was supposed to be the same grandparent to my children that I had. I didn't realize that she's not the same type of woman.
Right.
And so when my mama said, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that, I was like, she always got something to say about what she not going to do.
Because you felt like even though she's the grandparent, she's supposed to step in and, you know, watch my child when I need my child to be watched.
I didn't recognize that she was stepping in, just not the way that I wanted her to.
Right.
See, she was already stepping in. See, my daughter, my baby girl, she's a baker. The little girl, 15 years old, she can cook she can stand in line with the best of y'all. She really is good. And I taught her how to cook, and I had a cousin that helped me along with that. But my mother taught her how to bake over the phone. My daughter called my mama, and she'll say, okay, this is what you need. And they'll go to the grocery store. Well, I'll go take her to the grocery store. She'll get the lemons. She'll get everything she needs. That girl baked from scratch. Cookies, cakes, and pies. Who taught her that? Not me. Even though it was a phone situation, she taught her.
Right.
And now we have the phone where you got the camera on it.
Right.
So she still was instrumental. She still, and if anything goes on with either one of my girls, my mom is there. Right. But I didn't recognize it because I was foolish, you know. And that's all. I think it's selfish because we always expect somebody to do for us what we had.
Absolutely.
Coming up, that's not how it's going to work.
Because each generation is different. That's what we need to understand. So many people want to be like, well, let's bring it back to the old school, or let's take it back. No, I don't want to take it back to the old school.
First off, I don't need all y'all mutts whipping my kids.
And I hear a lot of people say that if we do it the old school way, because, and don't get me wrong, the old school way was fabulous, but guess what? In that time, in that season. So now that we're in a new thing, you know, and it bothers me when I hear that, because it kind of reminds me of people that want to be stuck in the Old Testament.
They do. They do.
It kind of reminds me of people that don't want to know about the newness and know about the new thing that God is doing and what he's doing for the new generation. You know, there's a new teaching for each generation. So I don't want to do it back in, okay, the switch off the tree branch. Show what's another weapon? What's another thing?
Weapon. That's exactly what it was.
What's another weapon? I mean, okay, so now it's the belt. Now it went to this, and now it went to that. So therefore, and I'm not just talking about, you know, this spurring a ride. I'm just saying, just in general, we have to learn to get into the newness of each generation that's coming along. I had grandparents. Shout out to my grandma, Darlene Cooper, who's in the nursing home, but still in her right mind to still know her. She's 85 years old. Maybe I think my grandma is 84. Her birthday is a day before 4th of July. So she just had a birthday.
Go girl.
And I love the fact that when I go visit my grandma in the nursing home, the first thing I asked her was, because I know a lot of older people, they lose that memory. The first thing I want to know that's important to me, it might not be important to nobody else. Grandma, who am I? And she'll say Eloise, because that's my middle name, Eloise.
We talked about that last week.
I love that, because she may have lost everything else. Her ability to move her legs, her ability to walk again, you know, but the fact that she still got her mind to know who her children is and her grandchildren is, that warms my heart, because I don't ever want my grandma to forget about me, because I got too much great memories of her loving on me and caring for me and doing this. My grandma was a bus driver for years. My grandma was my own bus driver. So it's just that I don't want her to lose who I am. You know what I'm saying? My grandma is my everything. So I love the fact that she can point me out and say, where is your mom at? And where is Uncle Wayne? And where is Uncle Erg? And where is Aunt Robin? She go down a list of the people. Now the great kids, I'm sorry, y'all, she don't know y'all. There's too many of you. But for the kids and the grandkids, it's a blessing. So I'm going to say, sis, that grandparents is very a necessity for the village. And there is a lot of young grandparents now. I have friends that is now going to be grandparents. And that does not mean that you don't have a role. Your role is to be the best grandparent that you can be for this upcoming grandchild that you're going to have. You know, have guidance. What does this new grandchild that you're going to have or be able to receive, what's your teaching that you can give this grandchild? Not from what you taught your children, but from what's happening, where they at right now, because now this is going to be a new generation coming up.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be a new philosophy to use for the new generation. That's my intake on it.
Yeah, and I had, like I said, both grandparents, mothers, and both grandfathers.
Yeah.
My father wasn't in St. Louis, but my mom was.
Yeah.
My mom was an excellent mom. My grandparents were excellent grandmothers.
Excellent.
I had one grandmother that did more on the financial end than the other, but the other grandmother did more on the teaching end than the other.
Yeah.
You know, I was
blessed,
well-rounded.
Absolutely.
I'm a very well-rounded woman because I had a village. I had aunties and uncles. Okay, I had a host of aunties and uncles, honey. All my aunts. You know what? I'm glad that we don't live old school, because don't nobody want to live in a house with all y'all people no more. You know, back in the day, it was the thing that nobody moved out of the mama house. It was a mother and a father. They got the house, and then the mama and father never made their kids go out and get a dang on house. So all the kids and the grandkids is staying at the grandparents' house.
But you know what? To us, that was the family dynamic.
It was, but to me, it's different.
And it was nice. It was nice
because we were kids.
We were kids, and we loved hanging with each other and loved laughing and loved.
Child, could you imagine right now to this day?
I don't want all them people in my house.
Could you imagine going home? And this, now you don't have your own home. You stay with your grandmother. Could you imagine going to your grandmother's house, and not only is your mother there, but your 5 aunties, 3 of your uncles, 19 of your cousins, and all y'all is older, and all they get. Baby, let me tell you something. I love having my own everything. I wouldn't give it up for nothing in the world. I don't want to stay with none of my cousins and their kids and their kids.
Right.
You know, and I got a 21-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
I don't want that girl coming to stay with me. Baby, when that girl got her own place, I was like, how much is the security deposit? Okay. She's like, Mama, they say it's a lot of money. I say it don't matter. It could be $12 million. Mama gonna put out a GoFundMe. You're gonna move into that place. Like, we're not. Okay, so let's be clear. I needed my child to have her own place.
Absolutely.
But back to what I was saying.
But if she could come back home, she always welcome to come back home.
She's always welcome to come back home, but I don't want her to. Daughter, if you're watching, Mama loves you, but I don't want you coming.
Sis, do you feel like that? Neighbors should discipline your children? Because back then we had that.
we finna get to that. But I want to talk about uncles and aunties real quick.
Okay. I don't want to move ahead.
I actually lived in a household
with aunts and uncles,
as I just described, on both sides of the family. You know, last week I had a little intermission. I almost did it this week because I look just like my auntie. Every time I look at myself in the camera, I be like, "Oh, baby, my TT, no, she fire." But in all actuality, I grew up in a household on both sides. Was your mom sisters? I grew up in a household on both sides where all of my aunties and uncles was there. All of my aunties and uncles was there, and so I had a real village.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
My uncle. I had 3 uncles coming up, 2 on one side, 1 on the other side. On my mom's side, I have 2 uncles, only have 1 left. One that's alive, Uncle Jack. We love you, Uncle Jack.
Yes.
And then I had my Uncle Bradford. My Uncle Bradford, my boy. So my Uncle Bradford was like my father, since I never actually had a physical dad. My Uncle Bradford was always there. I don't care what's going on.
Supportive.
Unc gonna be there.
Yeah.
Unc coming. He coming through. Yeah. He coming through on one wheel. You hear me? I call my uncle and say, "Come pick me up from school." Unc coming. He say, "Niece, you got $2?" I got $2.
I got you.
I'm on my way. And he'll come. I don't care what time of the day it is. My uncle coming. My aunties. Oh my goodness. My aunties taught me how to dance, how to sing, how to act, how to just be everything.
Right.
I love my aunties and uncles dearly. And I have this thing about my aunties and uncles. I don't care what life decisions that they made that wasn't right. I don't care how wrong they were. They could be wrong in 2 left shoes. Yeah. That's my auntie and uncle. You better not say nothing crazy to them. I don't care if they smoke all the crackety crack in the world. You better not look at them sideways. I wish you would. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like uncles and aunties mean everything. Like there ain't nothing on the planet like your uncles and aunties.
Yeah.
You know,
because they're like the second mom and the second dad.
They really are.
You know, they're the ones that stems from the grandparents.
And they teach you the family dynamic.
Absolutely.
Y'all all act alike because y'all all come from the
what
same
you said,
place.
They do. They really do.
My dad passed away. And tell y'all how jealous I got when my daddy passed away. When my daddy passed away, we're at the funeral, and I'm listening to all of my cousins talk about my daddy. They like Michael this and Michael that, and they talk, and they got this little list, and they know how to talk just like them, and they just describing my daddy. And I wanted to say, shut up, all of you. I didn't even get a chance to hear that about him or see that about him. And I was jealous. I was jealous because they had experiences with him,
something that you did
that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And then years later, my uncle passed away. When my dad passed away, I was not as affected as my uncle. But when my dad passed away, I actually found him. So that was traumatizing. But when my uncle passed away, I thought I was dying. Like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't eat. And my cousin, his daughter, passed away a couple of weeks before him. So she passed away. My cousin Donisha passed away, had her funeral. The very next week, my uncle passed away, his daughter. I mean, her dad. Yeah. And so that was huge for me. But at his funeral, I had to stand up and speak. I didn't have to, but I had to. I had to. That's my uncle. That's my uncle. Yeah. So I stood up and I spoke, and I'm listening to his kids before I got up and speak, and they were talking about their dad, and they was just like me. They was only able to tell so much.
Wow.
His oldest son was only able to tell it was like he was telling all of the memories he had. They were only able to tell so much, right? And once they were done saying what they had to say, they sat down, and now I stood up to speak. Yeah. And when I stood up to speak, I didn't say what I wanted to say, because I looked at those babies on the front bench, and some of those babies were older than me, but they were his babies. And I didn't say what I wanted to say because I remember how I felt to hear all my cousins talk about how wonderful their daddy was. My daddy was. And I'm sitting there, I just wanted to just choke them all. I wanted them to shut up because I wanted those memories. Yeah. And so I stood up and I started to tell my memories. And then at some point I slowed down and I said, I couldn't say too much because I, at that point, realized, dang, the father that they have been looking for, I had. Right. The whole time. And the father I had been looking for, they had. Yeah. So I didn't really say what I wanted to say because I didn't want to hurt them.
Needed to say.
Yeah. I was really trying to spur their emotions and their feelings because I knew how it felt. Yeah. So uncles and aunties, y'all are everything.
Absolutely.
Y'all are everything. If y'all don't get off this feed right now and call y'all brothers and sisters, say, put my niece and nephew. Do y'all got y'all nieces and nephew phone numbers in y'all phones? If not, get them. They need you and they love you and they want to hear from you. Yeah. My nephews are the spoiledest things you'll ever see. Let me tell you something. I can call my baby nephew right now. That Negro will walk to his TT. Okay, he's 20 years old. He on his way. You're not stopping him from getting his TT, period. And he'll be in front of my 27-year-old nephew. I don't care who you is, where you at. He gonna say TT. TT. He about his TT. Okay, all my boys are about their TT. Yeah. And everybody
and that's
I know.
How my nieces are. Like my nieces, and it's 7 of us, so I got nieces and nephews. Yeah. They just we're serious about each other. Because I look at it, my sister kids is like my kids. They are. They're, I don't say nothing to Messiah. I got a little nephew named Messiah. Don't say nothing to him because he's 9 years old. That's my NFL future player. Right. So I don't need y'all to say, if he got a problem, call me.
Call TT.
If it's a problem, call me. But like you said, being that close to, because the parents had the aunties and had the parents, then it just works out like that. It is. It just works out like that. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing.
One of the things that one of the reasons why I believe the village kind of broke apart is because we're now in an era where we will call you out. We're going to call you out. We're not the same. We're not in our mothers and fathers era. We're not in our grandparents era. You beat my kid wrong and I'm going to say something about it. And so this day and age,
are you okay with that? Because I'm not okay with that. But this is the reason why I say that. Because just like times has changed, people has changed.
Absolutely.
And I'm not okay. And I know back then that was okay. It was okay for the neighbors and the aunties and the grandpas and the grandmothers and
what we talking about
to step
discipline?
in. I'm talking for discipline.
Yeah.
Now I am okay.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay
Don't
with
put your hands on.
But look,
but I'm okay.
I'm okay with it if I know you. If I don't know you, I ain't okay with it.
Okay, so let me tell you.
That's just me. That's just me.
Let me tell y'all about me. I'm that person, but we just gonna be into it. Because if I see your kid doing something that kid ain't got no business doing, I'm finna say something. I was driving down
the
street.
It all depends on what it is, though.
I was driving down the street and I seen a little girl on her. It was the front pole of her house. It was just a pole, and she was just dancing. But it wasn't like she was just like, doing a little dance. She was twerking, and she had to be no more than 4. I mean, baby, she was breaking her back. Do you hear me? I said, get your butt off that pole and get in their house. I clenched my teeth on her. She jumped up and she ran to the front porch.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like to be like that. But like I said, times has changed and people was changing. If people were as loving as they used to be back then I probably wouldn't have a problem. But people are mean.
Yeah,
people are mean nowadays. Like people don't even, they was back then. Look, too. But people will kill you just for cutting them off in the lane.
They will.
Boom. Just now you gone just for cutting somebody up. Nobody would honk the horn no more. Nobody is honking the horn no more.
No, we have an anger.
And we have the anger is like, I want to murder you.
It is.
I want to murder you. People cannot even say nothing polite. People can say, you know what, people, if I cut you off with my buggy, not even if I just accidentally bumped into you with my buggy.
Grocery store.
Like, people will slap you. It's going down.
We finna make you too.
Even when I say, excuse me, you still got an attitude. Now you making this scene.
That happened to me.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if people were loving like they used to be, I probably wouldn't mind you discipline my kids. But the fact that your mind is set up differently, I feel like this. If you ain't a child of God, don't say nothing to my child. If you ain't a child of God, don't say nothing to my child, because I don't know where your mind frame is.
It's not even a God thing with me anymore. Because I don't know so many people that say they love God are the most hateful people in the world. So I can't.
Some of them, not all of them.
I said so many people, especially in Christianity. I just said I wasn't no Christian no more. I said it. I don't care what nobody think. I love God. I love Christ. I follow Christ. I like the kingdom. I love the kingdom. And I want to live for it and do what it says. But the act of being a Christian, oh man, it's so horrifying and terrifying and traumatizing because they have no love. None whatsoever. And it's so many, not people that love God. Okay, let's not get it twisted. We talk. This is the difference between religion and spirituality. So many people are religious that they only know what was told to them,
right?
And they never opened up the book and read it for themselves to get the love poured back into them,
right?
Because the word says you draw near me, I draw near you.
Right.
What happens when the Lord draw near you? He starts to change some things about you.
Right.
He starts to purify you. He starts to break you down. And all the pain and hurt and disgust and truth and trauma starts to feel like it's relevant.
Yeah.
But the only thing that he's doing is he's making you.
Yeah.
He's transforming your life. He's cleaning your heart and he's renewing some things about you. However, the person that is religious, the only thing that they can think of is what was told
rules
to them.
And regulations.
And it's no real love. So when I say that, I say that to say I absolutely believe in discipline.
Yeah.
If you see my kid doing something, I don't care. You ain't gotta know me.
Right.
I don't have to know everybody in the world for you to tell my child, excuse me, little girl, I know for sure you look like you're about 15 years old. I'm sure your mother, whoever she is, will not want you doing any of those things. Can you please get up off of that pole?
Monique says that if anyone see my kids doing wrong, say something, please, as long as you're not cursing at them. Amen. Because I'm definitely saying something to any child I see doing wrong. And I believe in that too, Monique. But here is the thing, I get that.
And I don't have to know you.
And I don't have to know you, but my I guess I wouldn't say I just, the way, like I said, it's just so much petty people. People are just petty and they killing people and saying stuff to crazy for no reason.
That's true.
So the fact that I have to, I just, and that's just me. Like that, I just feel like that people have changed where people are just not trustworthy anymore. And I'm not knocking nobody that don't mind a stranger saying anything to their children. I'm not knocking it. But what I am saying is, I guess we really need to be praying about it. Lord, let my child come across if my child doing wrong, let my child come across a person that can tell them things out of love and not like they want to kill them and turn their spirits down. And this is another thing too that we do.
That's the household.
This is another thing too that we do. Just because you see a person, or just because you see my child doing something out of the act of not being good, that don't mean you need to tear his spirits down. That don't mean you need to tear my daughter's soul down. That don't mean you need to tell my child, well, your grandmama ain't nothing. It look like you ain't gonna be nothing. Oh, I see where it come from. You get it from your grandma. You ain't got to do all of that. Yeah. You ain't, because people don't understand. And these children nowadays are fickle. They're so soft. They ain't hard. They ain't got hard legs like they used to back in the day. You could say something to us and we like, oh, whatever. Back now, they crying.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Wait, hold on. They crying. They want to kill themselves because you have said something to them to tear their spirits down. Now, this is the thing. They might not come from a loving back. They might not come from that loving home. They might not have that love at home. They might not have that person at home to build them up and to say, you're going to be everything you need to be. You're going to be awesome. You're going to be successful. You're a leader. You're worthy. You're beautiful. They might not come from that. So it's very important. And my pastor talked about this earlier today at church. Be careful for the words that proceed out of our mouth, because you can bless a person or you can curse a person. So my thing is this. I guess this will be my prayer from going forward. I don't mind a stranger telling my child something, but let it come from a loving place. Let it come from a loving place, because you don't know the mindset of a child. You don't know what they go through at school. You don't know what they go through at home. You don't know what they go through from day to day. So I don't need you telling my child you ain't gonna be nothing in life because I see you look like your mama. Your mama wasn't nothing. That child could go home and kill themselves, all because of what you said. So we gotta be careful of, tell my child something, but guess what? Come out of love. Approach them out of love. If you're going to talk about them and you're going to talk about their mama and their daddy, all that extra stuff that they don't need to hear, don't say nothing to them at all. Come to me and I'll check them.
And I believe,
come to me.
I believe one of the reasons why our children are so soft is because parents don't allow people to interject into their kids' lives anymore. So on one end, I hear what you're saying, but on another end, I strongly disagree, because just because I don't like what you're saying or the nature that you're coming from, God is a healer. He's a provider, and he can change anybody, including your kids. So that being said, one of the reasons why our kids can't take anything is because it was a mother or a father that said what you couldn't do for their kids anymore, what you couldn't do to their children anymore. No, you can't say this to my kid. You're a teacher and you can't tell my child what to do. You're the auntie and you can't tell my son what to do. The village is broken down because the people that are the leaders in the village decided they don't need nobody else to impart on their kids.
But still all depends on the words that come out of your mouth.
But hold on,
because words can break a person down.
This is what I'm saying. Words are always going to be able to break you or make you, right? Yes. But that's when you don't know a certain level of something. Life is going to bring about a whole lot of words.
That's true.
I grew up fat. And all my childhood, all I heard was you fat. I'm a different type of fat girl. So I had to figure out a way to deal with what was being said. So I had strength on a whole nother level that a lot of people did not have. Fever, that was fat.
And I get what you're saying. But at the same time, you don't want to hear it. If I heard it back then, I don't want to hear it. If I heard it all my life, back to coming from a household I couldn't get out of until I got grown, because you're at where you're at until you get grown to move into the next level.
Right.
So If I heard that all my life and I have a husband now, I done built something new. I don't want to hear that from my husband.
No, that's not what
I'm
talking
about. I don't want
to
hear that from my child.
That's not what I'm talking
because
about.
I had to be strong for this time.
Right, but
because I heard it every day.
But you also have to be strong and allow your children to have the same strength that you had no other choice but to be.
Right, but at the same time, it don't make it okay though.
I'm not saying. Listen,
sorry y'all, but this is the debate.
But listen, most of our childhoods was not okay.
No,
even if we had okay moments, we have to have some rule. Listen, your kids are not gonna like everything that's being said.
No,
they're not gonna like everything that's being done. Your kids are not always gonna be the cute kid. Your kid is not always gonna be the skinny kid, or the one with the body, or the one that got the parents with the everything. Sometimes your kid gonna go to school with your kid's shoes talking. The shoe is gonna flap apart. Sometimes your kid gonna have to go to school with the same clothes on for 2 weeks in a row without food or bath.
But it's not okay. It's not okay for another child, because this child got everything. He got joy. It's not okay for another child to talk about that person.
That's not what I'm. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Not okay.
Well, for I'm a Joner. Okay, I come from 2 different families. I basically had a rich dad and a poor dad. Okay, I grew up on the poor side of the family. I had a very well-off side of the family. On this side of the family, I didn't have. And the only reason I didn't have is because they made sure when they sent me back to my other side of the family, they took certain things so that it wouldn't get taken or that the other kids wouldn't feel away. So when I was over here, I dressed like the kids over here. I played like the kids over here. I did like the kids over here. And when they got talked about, Joan, Donna jumped, I was all in the same fold. But on this side, we didn't talk like the kids and the people over here. It was against the rules in this house. But that being said, that was just my upbringing. But I've seen so many people in my life that has had brothers and sisters who are just trying to just tell you your kid is doing wrong, or a teacher is saying your kid is doing wrong, and because you are self-righteous or been through some stuff in your life, or somebody that beat you, or your uncles or aunties then did something to you as a kid coming up, now you want to protect your kid from everything, so much so that you're not allowing them to experience bumps and bruises along the way. It is imperative that your child know what it's like to get tripped when they walking on purpose. Somebody that like you or don't like you just trip you, and it's gonna hurt their feelings, but guess what? They're going to get over it. It is imperative for your kid to get joned on. It is absolutely 100% must for mothers to teach their kid how to jone back. You know why? Because when they get gone off on or talked about at school, they need to be able to have a say. They need to be able to come home and say, Mama such and such said something to me, without them saying, well, forget that such and such don't like you, and such ain't gonna be nothing. No, but this is what you say back to such and such. Look at you ugly, and you ain't gonna never be able to change that. Learn how to jone back. No, it is not okay for a kid to talk about another kid who's going through something. But one day that kid is gonna be a man. And that kid is going to be able to say, baby, I don't want you talking about people because they talked about me. But I need you to have tough skin. You heard me? Now we live in a generation where our kids don't have tough skin. And this is just my reasoning. I think it's because parents decided that no one can say anything to their little precious babies. We want to save our kids from experiencing anything, not realizing that Jesus said we don't. Our only job that I read in the Bible was to train your kid up in a way in which they should go. And when they part, meaning they're going to depart from you, they're never going to forget what you taught them. You train them up. When you see a certain gifting over your kid, you train them in their area of gifting. That's what that means. You see a gift that your child has, you take that gift and you train your child in that area of gifting. The rest of the time that they have on this earth, God is going to give them the people, places, and things to help move them along in that area. But they're going to hurt. They're going to get battered. They're going to get tattered. They're going to do all. But if they don't know how to stand while they're going through all that, they're going to be just like these kids now. They suicidal. That is true. Because nobody can tell these kids you wrong. Nobody can say anything about it.
And I never did say that you can't say anything.
I understood what you were saying. I understood what you were saying.
It's what you say out of your mouth.
But we don't live in a love society.
And that's the problem.
We don't live in a love society.
We don't live in a love society, but somebody got to say that ain't right.
But we got to have love in our homes.
And we have to. We have to have love in our homes. But somebody have to be, and I'm that parent. if I see your child do anything, I'm gonna say, Khalees, I don't think your mom would like that. I don't think
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna say, Khalees, you eating all that chicken, you're fat just like your mama, so you gonna be fat just like her. I'm not gonna do all of that. I'm gonna say, Khalees, I don't think that would be good for you or whatever. I think that's gonna slow you down a little bit. I can see you, you know what I'm saying? And what she's gonna do is, Terry, she's gonna take that love in consideration and think about it and be like, I didn't think of it like that. For as me breaking her down with words that's not going to help build her up, but going to break her down, she's going to have a self-confidence problem. You know what I'm saying? So the village is this. I feel like if the village came out of love and learned how to talk and stop just
that's not
but this is the thing.
I feel like you can't pick and choose your village until you get a certain age.
Right. But I talk to my children, I talk at my kids. I talk to my kids and not talk at them. It's a difference. But see, in my village, we was told where you do what I say and you do what I say, and that's it.
Yeah, you would be,
you know what I'm saying?
And not to be heard.
Here it is. Okay.
Hey, can't get a grill.
Here it is. I'm no longer sexually active anymore because you told me. You just said don't have sex. You didn't tell me
why.
Why? So you talking at me. I need you to sit down and talk to me.
I talk with my kids. Like we have
and that's talking too. We conversating. So that was the problem back in the village. The village didn't have a communication. It was all about don't do it, and I'm telling you don't do it, and that's it.
But listen. I'm a mother too. And I know sometimes I need to talk at you because you're not.
It all depends on what situation.
Right. Because this that I'm getting ready to say to you, you may not even understand what I'm saying until later on down the line. Then down the line, something gonna happen in your life. You're gonna be like, oh, my mama told me about that. What was she saying? Let me call my mama. I really don't remember what she was saying, but let me call her, Lord, hoping I'm still alive at the time, and just see what she had to say about this particular thing. But I honestly believe that it's us. We're the reason why our children are so weak. Our children are being protected by us, by every single thing. We're not their sole protector. We protect them from gun violence and people on the planet and all the things that can happen to them that's bad that we can see. But the other things that we can't see, we can do nothing but talk to them about it.
Right.
And help them deal with their emotions through it.
And allow God to cover them.
That part, I need you to take the kid and you do what you're going to do with the kid because it's some things that I can't see and I can't handle.
See it. Yeah.
But with that being said, I cannot allow you to be a weakling. No, take what was said to you. You know, now if you tell my kids something about how they're going to be fat, they going to joan on you. I'm just saying, I taught my kids how to joan. You know, I did. I taught my kids how to joan.
My kids learn some stuff just being around peers.
Baby, my kids know how to joan and cuss. And yes, I'm a minister. But I taught my kids how to cuss real good. You know why? Because I stayed in the low down, dirty west side of the hood, the deepest part of the west side, where every last one of them kids was coming outside saying, "What's up, B?" And it was 4-year-olds. And that was the custom of the neighborhood. I wasn't sheltering my children by keeping them in the house and making them only be around just me. I let them out and explore. So when my daughter came back to me and said, "Mama, Martez called me a B," I said, "You call him a dirty so-and-so." She told me, "Mama, I don't want you better call him." And you say, "Hey," and you run back and tell me what he said. You hear me? That was a 22-year-old woman teaching her child. I'm a 40-year-old woman. I know some different things than what I knew when I was 22 years old. Right. You understand? But at 22
so your teaching is different now than it was back then.
Absolutely.
So you wouldn't tell your child to cuss somebody out.
I would definitely tell my kid to cuss somebody out. What is you saying? Girl, you better say it. I would absolutely. Y'all, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? I would absolutely tell my children to cuss them with the words that I taught you, baby. You know how mama put those one words together? Say it just like that and come back. I still say the same thing. Come back and tell me what they said, how they took it. No, and I'm being serious. I would.
And that's fine. That's why I said you're and that's what makes us two different people.
I taught them how to cuss for a reason because I know the society that we live. And then hold on.
And I don't have to. And that's what makes us different parents. But let me tell you what I'm saying? Because I'm more of a.
I'm still being worked on.
Okay, but let's throw it out there though.
I'm still being worked on. Okay. So that being said, my mouth sometimes get loose, and because I'm choosing, honesty. I'm choosing not to cuss. I'm choosing to curve my conversation. I'm making different choices in life, and I'm choosing to be around people who don't have certain levels of conversation. And things are now different. Right. But it doesn't remove words from my vocabulary just because I don't want to use them. Right. There's going to come a special time in my life while I'm in a situation, I'm around some people that pull some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been equipped with the vocabulary necessary to handle whatever the situation is. I'm just gonna let you know I can handle it, and so can my children.
Mm-hmm.
But on at the same token, I just also taught I taught them well-roundedness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not going to lead with that. They're not. I know both of my children. They're not going to lead with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if my 15-year-old is put up against another 15-year-old, I guarantee you she's not going to say, "Girlfriend,
right,
let's just be friends," with the other girls coming at her with gang signs, and because you know these neighborhoods it gets real. It goes down, and so these little girls is more rougher than the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had to prepare my kids for what level and the community that they live in. My kids would absolutely cuss you out, real good too. And I still teach them new levels of cuss words because I need them to understand this is real. This is real, okay? Okay, now y'all want a dose of reality. This is my reality.
That's your reality, exactly.
I have a school that I work with nothing but young people between the ages of 9 and 19. And they're all girls at this time. I provide a safe space for young people to come and learn the art of beauty and image, right? My young girls, all they listen to is King Von, Young Dolph. They throw up gang signs, they cuss. These girls are rough. And they're gorgeous. They love doing weaves and makeup and all of that, nails, and they do all of that. However, they rough. So if they're gonna be put up against a bunch of rough people, I want them to know how to handle themselves in the situation that they're in. Now, if they were never around that, like my child go to a private school,
mm-hmm.
that's now.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't grow up in private school. You know, she was going to regular school. She started off in city schools and then regular public school, Hazelwood schools. These kids is outside thugging.
Mm-hmm.
I had to teach them how to handle themselves so they won't get broken.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're saying, how kids are so not as strong, is because no one teaches them how to handle where they're at. I taught my children how to handle things with love. However, just in case,
mm-hmm.
love is exited the building. And you're still standing. I need you to be able to handle yourself with some grace and some dignity.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to make sure that whoever comes on you, they don't see you when you swing. Because I taught my kids how to fight too.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I didn't sit up there and let I did. I taught my kids how to fight. I taught them how to joan back. I taught them code words. I taught them how to scratch themselves inappropriately and say cuss words weirdly. If somebody walked up on them, like it looked like they schizophrenic, I taught them different techniques and tactics so that they can be able to get themselves out of tricky and awkward situations, because I had been in tricky and awkward situations as a young woman and no one taught me. That I had to learn on my own. I've been attacked, you know, by men.
Mm-hmm.
Not just by cussing me out, but like physically grabbing me and pulling me somewhere. I know what it's like to go through certain levels of disgust. So that being said, I made sure, because I'm well-rounded, I made sure I taught my children in a well-rounded fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I had to. If I didn't, the only reason I would not have, it was if I had provided from the jump a lifestyle like what we have now.
Mm-hmm.
If what we had now is what I had back when they were younger, then I would never have even known to say some of those things. I wouldn't have known to teach them some of those things because I just wouldn't have known it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I became privy to the information, I said, okay, come on, sit down, girls. I need you. And really, I started with my oldest girl, and I taught the same thing to my baby girl, because she too was starting to run into certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the softer one. I'm always concerned about her emotions. You know, my oldest girl is rough, tough, and she wears Afro puffs too, you know, sometimes. So she's really, really rough. But I made sure I taught her how to handle herself. And she's really dainty. She's really cute. And she really comes from she knows how to be like all of this, but she also knows how to kick her shoes out, pull them earrings out, knuckle if you buck. You know, and she gonna use the proper cuss words and the proper terminology when it's necessary. But they also know God, they love God, they know the Bible. They don't just know what mama teaches them. We have actual discussions. When I pray, they pray. I whenever I pray, if anybody ever pray with me, if I ever pray with any of you guys, the first thing I do afterwards is I say, okay, now your turn. I was taught that way. My pastor, she wouldn't even let me. She wouldn't even say a prayer without passing the mic. You know, so I do the same thing. I pass the mic. I make my kids pray. I teach them God. I teach them spirit. I teach them love. But also, I didn't teach them hate. But I taught them the fact that if hate come upon you, This is how you handle yourself.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's so that's that. I'm one of those strangers who gonna look out for your kid. I'm sorry.
And there's nothing.
And
wrong
I'm gonna
with
knock
it.
on your door and say, Mama, I know you don't know me. We don't know each other for a can of
There's
paint.
nothing wrong with it, but I'm a prayer warrior, and when I pray, it's I'm an intercessor of prayer.
Yeah.
So I pray about things that I don't even see coming.
Yeah, me too.
And I trust God so much with my life and with my children. You know, and I believe even in the Bible tells us that things can happen around you, but it won't even touch you.
Yeah.
Things, and I've had all kind of things happen around me in my neighborhood, in my own neighborhood. I don't stay in the richest part of it. I stay on downtown Ferguson where Mike Brown got killed. I stay right there up the street from where Mike Brown got killed. So I don't stay in no perfect neighborhood. I never stayed in the perfect neighborhood when I grew up. Yeah. But the fact of the matter of it is, like you say, this is the reality show, and everybody is taught different. Everybody's mindset is different on how they perceive things and how they build their village. Yeah. My village foundation is basically on, Lord, I trust you with the things I can't see. Absolutely. You know, and I tell my children, I don't ask my children to run into trouble, but if trouble, but I also covered them that, Lord, if they have to run into a trouble, Lord, I want you to have your angels around them where they looking at the angels and they just veer off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And they just run, because sometimes God will put people in the place where you be like, I don't know what that is, but I gotta go because they don't even look right. That's God.
And you know what I'm saying? Put a spin on what you just said.
So I don't have a problem with a stranger telling my children anything. My prayer is that,
I know what you were saying,
come
with love.
Just do it out of love. Don't break their spirits down. Don't tear them down, because you don't know what and that my children are strong. I have a son, and I don't teach them to be weak either. I teach them to stand on their 10 toes. I teach them to be able to hold their own weight, and don't let nobody walk all over you. Don't let nobody tell you who you is. You tell them, no, I am a leader. Amen. This is who I am, and this is what I stand for. This is what I believe in. And don't be afraid to say who you are. You don't let nobody call you fat. I don't care if you look like you fat. Yeah. You tell them, look, I'm 160. I'm 160 pounds, because guess what? That's what you aiming to be at anyway. So why would you say I'm this size, even though I look like it? But I'm working on myself. I'm gonna be this size, so I'm gonna speak the number that I'm gonna be. Yeah. I ain't gonna let nobody call me that you fat and you stink, and I know your roles you got. I ain't gonna let nobody do all that to me. Because guess what? I ain't what you see.
I'm a Joner, so I never had people come at me like that.
And that's what I'm saying.
Like, I've had people say things, but they couldn't get so far because
I've never had that coming up. You know what I'm saying? But I was the type of, I like to have fun, dance, and be, you know what I'm saying, dance and have fun. And so the energy that I brought was the energy how I am. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was a fun person. I like to kick it. I like to dance. I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I like to talk noise. So I never had a bullying problem because people fed off my energy. You know what I'm saying? People only get bullied. They only bully those ones that's quiet, laid back. The weak people, they prey on the weak people. You know what I'm saying? So like you say, it is our job to make sure our children
strengthen them. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's not to say teach them wrong.
Right.
The only reason I taught my children the way I taught them is because I understood the neighborhood that I was living in.
And that's what you knew.
Yeah. And
so you taught them what you knew.
I learned my family dynamic is different. Mm-hmm. But I want to give you a different spin on the scripture that you just said. Mm-hmm. When you said the word would say you will go through something and not even be touched. Mm-hmm. So that can mean multiple things. The Lord would allow you to go through some horrifying stuff and get touched, but not be harmed. Mm-hmm. So I have to teach my kids a certain way because sometimes it will touch you.
But it won't kill you.
It won't. Sometimes it will touch you. Sometimes you will get raped. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
That's why I say no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
That part. Mm-hmm. So, we're not really able to protect our children for what we desire to protect them from. Because
we didn't get protected. I mean,
sometimes the dang on bullet do land. Mm-hmm. But see, God is so good and he's so righteous and such a coverer that he's able to lift us even in the midst of our darkness. And so I don't mind and I had to come to terms with the fact that I could not save and rescue them from everything.
We can't.
So I had to get comfortable with the fact that they were going to go through. And I just asked God to strengthen me and give me the right words to say so that I can carry the load when they're going through and they can't carry themselves. And I also asked the Lord to strategically place his angels around my children and places hedges of protection around them, as well as me and all of you guys. You know, but I make sure that I'm gonna tell you who my village is. It's all of you guys.
Yeah.
And when the first time I see any inclination that you ain't a part of this village or you ain't doing right by my kids or that I can't do right by yours, I'm gonna leave you alone real quickly. I make sure that I keep a tight, close knit or eye on my family. But I also make sure that I show massive support and love to people that I deal with.
Because that's where, you know, people don't understand that love and encouragement and a push and motivation and you know, all those good things, it grows the village.
It does.
It don't tear it down. It grows the village. So if I'm coming out of love and respect, and I'm coming out of encouragement, and I'm coming out of, I see you as beautiful, I see you as strong, because you might not see yourself as the way I see you.
Yeah.
That's building you up.
Absolutely.
That's pushing you. That's letting you know what? I am that woman.
And then boundaries
and
are so important.
Absolutely.
Because there are certain things and certain people's, I'm lying over here talking about, y'all, my village. When I say I'm lying. Let me tell y'all how y'all can't say nothing to me and mine. Okay. So in all actuality, I just make sure that I come from a certain space. But I also understand that not everybody was raised a certain way.
Absolutely.
And
because that's the real part about it. That's reality.
Yeah.
Everybody wasn't raised.
They wasn't raised with love in their heart. They don't know how to tell somebody, you know, you're beautiful. They don't even know what beauty is. They think beauty is wearing all this makeup and having your hair and nails done and having some money. They think that's what beautiful. Beauty is. They don't know anything about the matters of the heart. You know, they don't know how to come from the heart. And when they do come from the heart, it's like, as long as you hear me, that's fine, because I ain't gotta hear you. You know,
as long as you're doing for me.
As long as you're doing for me or mine. You know, I've heard many times women to say something about their kids, you know, at their siblings. My sister ain't do this for my kids, but she did that for her kids. And it's like, so you get up and now do it for your kid. You know, I spent 6 months in the hospital. Yeah. And when I was in the hospital for those 6 months, paralyzed now. Okay, I couldn't get up. I had a camera in my room. Every time I moved in my bed, it was like a cold green, because I was a fall hazard. Yeah, I was a trip hazard. Anytime I stood up, because
they knew about it.
Yeah, I couldn't even adjust myself. They say, Miss Cosby, what are you doing in that bed? You know? So that being said, no, I didn't have any visitors. My visitors stopped. Probably like after the first 2 weeks, and I was there for 6 months. The only person that came and visited me after that was my sisters and my mom, my god sisters, my actual sister, and my mother. After that, I didn't receive no more calls. I didn't receive no more visits, and I decided that was God trying to do something with me, and so He wanted to separate me and isolate me so that He can minister to me. Yeah. And so I didn't blame my family member
for not being there like you wanted to.
And I hear a lot of y'all do that. We blame everybody because somebody wasn't there for us. Have you ever taken the time out to think that the Lord was separating you and isolating you because He needed to get you by yourself so He can minister to you? But you wasn't willing to listen because all you wanted was somebody there with you while you was going through your going throughs. Sometimes we just got to go through what we're going through alone. And oftentimes when we have loved ones and friends and family members that are going through something, what's the first thing we want to do? We want to pull them out of it. Well, what are you doing? You got to go to God before you go pull that person out of what they're going through. Maybe the Lord is allowing them to go through it because He's trying to build them up to something. And I can't build you up to what I got to build you up to because you got all these handicappers around you. You got all these people that want to save you from being hurt. I'm allowing you to get hurt. I need you to know what it feels like to go through the mud. I need you to know what it feels like to be beat all the way down and legs too weak to stand, because now I need you to do like this to me. Yeah, I'm your daddy. I want to pick you up. I can't pick you up because you got all these handicappers around you steady picking you up before I get an opportunity to. See, when the Lord pick you up, he gonna do something different. He gonna mend some broken pieces of your heart and your mind. He's gonna place every brick that was knocked out of place back where it was supposed to be. But when we pick them up, we pick them on up, put nothing on them, put nothing in them. We barely even dust them off, and we handicap them by giving them something. Right. Well, baby, I know you was just homeless and you going through something right now. Well, if I can supply a place for you, and you're homeless, and I can provide you with a place to stay, I don't think the Lord is telling me not to. Right. He say, don't be out here saying, girl, go get you a place to stay now, and you got an extra room. Exactly. So I don't think that's the case, but I also think sometimes we need to step out of God's way and let him do what he's doing in people's lives, and stop being the one that's trying to rescue and save everybody from whatever they're going to go through. Right, we can't. Right. It's inevitable. We're always going to go through something. That's true. We're just going to get stronger. Yeah, that's it. And we're we won't stop going through anything until we get to heaven. That's when everything will be ceased. But as long as we're on this earth, we're going to have trials and tribulations and storms, many of them. And, and that's one thing we need to learn to know, that we're untouchable. We're untouchable. Things can happen to us, and things will happen. they will happen. Seriously. But the Lord will provide. Yeah, and in the midst of him providing, it's some cool. Like I remember last week when we was talking about the difference between the lessons that you learn from God and the lessons that you learn from a teacher. Yeah. The teacher gonna give you the lesson plan. You're gonna study it, and you're gonna take the test, and hopefully you remember what the answers was. So when you go through our life, you can actually be able to handle it. Right. But the Lord don't do it like that. The Lord is gonna give you a test, and from that test, he gonna want you to learn a lesson. And so that being said, I'm doing my very best to learn lessons that was given to me. You're learning to stop cursing. That's what you're learning. No, so that's not even a question. But let's go back to that. So when it comes down to the cursing thing, so it's a difference. So you heard what she said. She said cursing. I don't curse people. I probably have not really cursed anybody. I may cuss at you, but I don't curse you. When you curse somebody, you say things like what you said. You ain't never gonna be. Oh, that's a curse. That you don't even have to use a derogatory word to curse somebody. Just speaking negatively over other people's lives and their situation is a cursing. I don't curse people, but I might cuss you out real good. I may say the D word, the S word, the F word. I may have an extensive vocabulary. However, I'm not going to curse you. I may cuss at you. But I found out. But it's still okay to know that you're, even with using curse words, you are working on it. You are. But this is the thing. When God is dealing with you on that. And see, God ain't got to deal with you on certain things. I think it angers God to know that he got to still deal with you on levels that he gave you the ability to handle on your own. That you should stop. That it's things that you can handle on your own. You got to practice what you preach. Okay. So if you don't want to cuss anymore, then get around some people that don't pull that from you. Right. So if I don't want to cuss, I get around people like Tara. Right. I get around other people, other friends, and other family members who don't evoke that from me. Right. Because I get around some people, and just when I see them, it's gonna be like, just for no reason at all. You see somebody and your little, and they look. And before you know it, y'all sitting up there, so it's just the vocabulary and the language that you've grown comfortable with certain people, but on the other side, if that's something that you no longer want to do, if you no longer have a desire to want to use cuss words anymore, because cussing and cursing is different. Cursing is when you just speaking negatively and poorly over people's lives. Cussing is a vocabulary word. Right. So if you no longer want to have certain words as a part of your vocabulary, just get around new people, people, places, and things. Change your playground and your playmates. Period. If you no longer desire to do certain things, if you don't want to have certain actions and activities, just get around different people, and they're going to pull new things from you. Without everything, smoking, drinking, everything. They're going to impress upon you something new and something different. So I listen, I got these cuss words been a part of my vocabulary since I was 2. Do you understand me? I probably was cussing before then. I told you, I went to elementary school. I went to this new elementary school. I was in 4th grade, and I've always been a life of the party. Everywhere I've always been, is my personality. So I go to this school, and we on the play yard, and all the kids is playing, and I said, dang, I said the D word. I say they F that up, and all the kids was like, your nigga said a cuss word, and I say D. We don't say that. I cussed again. I say dang. So we try to say we don't say that around here. So I mean, I was so shell shocked at the fact that the kids in the community that I had moved into didn't have the same type of vocabulary as me.
Right.
I had never met kids that did not cuss. Where I come from, all the kids cuss, and it's not even funny. Like, she laughing. This is real. Like, this is real. Where I come from, every last 4-year-old cuss. It wasn't something that was abnormal. We may not have done it in front of our mothers,
but it was normal.
But it was absolutely normal. You know, that was just the vocabulary. If you grew up in a household filled with nothing but people that cuss, you are going to be a cusser. If you no longer have a desire to cuss, get around people who do not cuss, and they're going to bring a new language out of you. But if you are a curser, no matter where you go or who you get around, you're going to curse people because you don't have an understanding over the words you're speaking. I may have some, and I might not even talk foul, even though I may say a cuss word, they might not always be foul. You know? So people that have foul mouths and that curse people, they're different type of people than the person that cusses. You know, a cuss word is just a vocabulary word. Now you want to make sure that you know when and when not to, where and when not to. But I honestly, for my own personal sake and my own self, I've been practicing not cussing for a very long time, and it has gotten easier because I have stripped down the type of people that I hang out with. So I don't get a chance to cuss.
But like you said, you know, we work in process.
Oh yeah, but I still have some people, as soon as they see me, the first word they say is B. And you have no idea what that feels like when you have went a whole week without cussing. I mean, a whole solid week.
That's your test, though.
You know, you don't win a solid week without cussing. And the first time you see your partner, they cuss at you, and you saying to yourself, B, I wish you stopped cussing at me, but you don't even know how to do it, you know. So it's truly a test. Yeah. But this is a test that I will pass because I want to. I have a strong desire to. Yeah. You know, so that being said, I think
we talked about the neighbors and the strangers
and the teachers,
and we talked about the teachers, but we didn't get on the friends and sisters and the brothers.
Friends and sisters and brothers. Friends and sisters and brothers can fall in the same category. Yeah, but see, the thing of it is, I think that people have a problem with their friends. Period. I think I have dealt with so many women who I did not like how they discipline their children, so there was nothing they can do for mine. I heard you call your daughter a B. I don't talk to my children like that. Right. I have 2 daughters. I'm not calling my daughters no bitchs. Right. Not gonna happen. So when I hear you call your daughter a B,
you can't tell.
And then you say, can my daughter come spend the night at your house? And I tell you, now she got soccer practice and my kids don't play soccer. Okay. And that's really because I don't respect you and your parenting, but I love you because of who you are, but I don't respect you and your parenting. And because of that, I can't allow my kid to be in your presence like that because I don't want them to get it twisted and think this is the way that they need to be spoken to. So that's one thing.
I thank God that I have classmates who still my friends now. And I can name, you know, Grunt, Nakia, Shamika, Teeterbug, Fazana. You know, I thank God that I have classmates that I can trust with my kids. Yeah. And see, this is how my classmates, this is what we do. We know each other. So I know what I can do to your kids, and you know what you can do to mine. That's the understanding that we have. You have to have an understanding when it comes to friendships, because what's okay for your child, you already know it ain't okay for mine.
That point.
So I think if friends had an understanding, then it also too makes boundaries. The village, boundaries. When there's boundaries, it also too makes the village beautiful, because friends is necessary in the village. Yeah, I know my friends are, you know what I'm saying? So and just because we know each other and we respect each other. But the fact is just we just know each other.
Yeah.
They just know certain things they can't cross.
Yeah, certain
and,
lines,
and
absolutely.
things I can't cross with their children. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very important for friendships, for friends to understand and know each other.
I have clients. So I didn't really get a chance to get into the friend thing.
I'm one of the clients.
She is. I didn't get a chance to get into the friend thing like that because when I did, I got double crossed so much that I just stopped calling people friends. You know, I have acquaintances, I have friends, and I have clients, but my clients, on the other hand, has been extremely instrumental in the upbringing of my children. Mm-hmm. My clients taught my children how to read and write because I was so busy working 16 hours a day, and I had my children because I always had a salon, my own salon. So my children being right there with us at all the times, I'm glad to meet
you live, and I pray that you really understand who is this.
You really understand what we need to understand, bitch.
I know she said, "What's up, honey?"
Hey, girl. Well, say it again so we can understand what you was trying to type because I want to really read that. But I don't even remember what I was saying. But I will say this.
I know she said, "I'm glad to meet you in life, and I pray that you really understand you understand you or your purpose."
I don't know. We gonna let you finish typing that in because I know you still on there. But as far as brothers and sisters are concerned, I think one of the reasons why the brothers and the uncles and aunties have been removed from the lives of the babies, the children, is because the mothers don't get along with their siblings. And let me tell you, I might not get along with my sibling, but I want to see my nieces and nephews. Don't you hold them back from me. As a matter of fact, let me tell y'all, I have so many nieces and nephews. How much I love you, baby. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so goofy.
You really understand how much I love you, baby.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Thank you so much. We love you too with the love of Christ, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Amen.
Okay. And so with that being said, I think a lot of the family dynamic happens and the breakdown of the sibling relationship as far as the village is concerned is because they don't get along.
That's true.
They don't get along. They don't like each other. And so if I don't like you, my kids don't like your kids. I think that's the stupidest thing in the world.
Absolutely.
I should be able to love my aunties and uncles, even if you don't get along with them, mama or daddy.
And guess what? Grown-ups, stop putting the kids in your business.
Period.
Kids need to stay in kids' business. I don't care if they're 25. You stay in your 25 zone, and I'm going to stay in my 36, 38, 45, 55 zone.
You understand what I'm saying?
I don't need you unless I put you in, but it's so many... And that's the thing too with the village. We don't know the boundaries, and here it is, the boundaries. Parents want to be the kids' friends too. They want to be a parent and the friends.
Yeah.
So they want to bring the kids involved in grown-up business that should even, if I'm having odds with my siblings, with my brothers or sisters, I'm not going to bring my children into that.
Yeah.
Because first off, I just need you to focus on what you need to focus on. Because the minute I tell you I ain't getting along with your favorite auntie, then you're going to have a problem with me, or you're going to have a problem with both of us. First off, that's going to mess your mind frame up. That's going to get your focus off because you're going to keep on wondering, well, why is they not talking? And you're going to be trying to ask yourself questions that you don't even have the answer to. I don't even have the answer to why we ain't talking. So the thing about it is that we got to learn to, have boundaries, but a child don't need to be in a grown-up business.
And then you know what we need to do again is kick the kids out the room.
That part.
Remember back in the day when you could not go in the room with your parents or your grandparents or your aunties and uncles or the elders when they were talking? Well, what happened to that? Uh-huh. Why are the children allowed to be in a room with adults while they have an adult conversation? I have no idea what that's all about.
And it's still like that.
I got my 15-year-old when we having certain levels of conversations, girl, scat.
Yeah,
scat cat. Because I'm about to say some things. Yeah. And I don't need your ripe little ears. And I know TikTok and I know Facebook and YouTube then got to you and then taught you some few things. But I'm not going to teach you a little further. Yeah. You know, I'll teach you that lesson later on down the line. But for right now, I'm just going to talk to TT Tara over
here. Yeah, kids don't need to sit in on a grown-up's conversation. They don't. And village need to understand that. Kids need to Go outside and play and be kids. Be kids.
That's it.
Don't grow up before your time. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when we're allowing that behavior, when we allow kids to be grown, they growing up before their time. They missing out on a whole lot of stuff that they should be enjoying.
And then they're gonna be burnt out.
I was dancing to Michael Jackson and looking at the Jackson's 5 and looking at Soul Train and playing hopscotch, double dutch.
But then they get burnt out by the time they get up a certain age. They got too much experience at such a young age that when they get to the age where they're supposed to do certain things, they act like old heads.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They don't even know what that's about, honey.
They don't.
They don't know what that's about. Double dutch.
They too grown.
Yeah.
You know?
We don't play that.
We didn't get a chance to talk about everything.
No, we didn't.
And we went over because the conversation was getting good.
We went because we were supposed to stop at 5:30, y'all, but we definitely went over. And
me and Miss Terry, y'all know we be debating, okay? We gonna get our point across. One thing about us is we gonna get our point across, okay?
Because this is and we giving y'all the real of us.
Yes.
This is the real me. I don't pretend. I ain't trying to be like nobody else. And Fever is the same thing. This is the real her. So when you see us talking, we're not going to pretend. We're not going to act like and fake like and because what you get is us. This is us, and we're not the same. We're different. We come from different backgrounds, you know, and different motives, going to different places, you know, doing different things. So this is the reality of us, and this is what we just want people to understand. Like the reality is the real from us,
and also sit out and sit up conversations with you. You know what? I just want to say this real quick to everybody. You and YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are at, if you have a discrepancy with your village, your mom, your dad, and they're still alive, your sisters or brothers, and they're still alive, if you feel like you cannot personally say this to them because the communication is just that bad, then write a letter. Old school, go to the post office and get a stamp, or make it easy on yourself. Hop in their inbox, send a text message, tell them, I know we don't deal with each other, but life is too short. Anything can happen at the spur of the, anything can happen. And so because I know and you know that anything can happen, I just want to tell you, I love you. That's it. Shut your mouth. Don't say why, but don't say nothing else. Just say, because of that, I love you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing else. If the Lord puts upon you and press upon you to say something more, then say something. But just do that, because somebody right now is waiting on you to just say, or just waiting on, you know. One more thing, and I didn't even say this. I think I may have said it a couple weeks ago, but I didn't say it this time. I don't even know if I said it a couple weeks ago. But also, we had a young girl by the name of Spirit Butler. It's a guy friend of mine. His name is James Dickerson. His daughter passed away just last Friday was her funeral. And she was being bullied at school. She was being bullied, and they jumped on her. And one of the things that James told me about his daughter was that his daughter she was 14 years old, and she was actually a 14-year-old kid. She did things as a kid. She acted as a kid, and she was around other kids who just didn't. And they didn't see the value in her being a kid. So they hurt that baby. And in turn, she hurt herself, and she's no longer
she committed suicide.
She hung herself. But she didn't die right then. She was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And then she ended up entering into the gates of heaven at some point. So she's no longer here. And we also just like to send our deepest and most sincerest condolences to her mom and dad, sisters, and all of her family members. Because listen, life is too short. And I know, you know, we have these moments of revelation, and that we teach our children what we teach our children. But in all actuality, if we don't start to look at ourselves as the culprit, like I had a harsh reality dealt to me yesterday. If we don't learn to look at ourselves, we're gonna always find someone else to blame.
Right.
So with that being said, we love you guys.
Absolutely.
And we're so grateful that you guys come on here
Absolutely.
each and every week and listen to our
Yes.
craziness as we give you our own personal dose of reality.
Right.
We can't wait to see you guys next week where we will have another topic for you guys. And until then, deuces.